Welcome to Hong Kong Brief. The content of the briefing includes: Shanghai Disney launches Zootopia, Jimmy Lai trial, BOJ meeting. Time to open its doors wider, or will China fall into a middle technology trap? Russian tennis ace happy with Hong Kong stopover, but will Olympics welcome him? Standard Chartered taps global network to bring investment choices to China's rich. Hong Kong District Council elections, why weak middle-class turnout is troubling. Shanghai Disney launches Zootopia, Jimmy Lai trial, BOJ meeting. Nikkei Asia. Hong Kong media tycoon Jimmy Lai is set to stand trial for charges of breaching the city's national security law. The 76-year-old businessman, who is one of China's most vocal critics, faces 3 counts of foreign collusion and 1 count of sedition. If found guilty, he could be imprisoned for life. Lai's son has been campaigning with foreign governments to secure his release. The trial comes as Japan, China, and Indonesia review their interest rate decisions, and Toshiba gets delisted from the Tokyo Stock Exchange. Time to open its doors wider, or will China fall into a middle technology trap? South China Morning Post. China's leading science academy has warned the country of a possible middle technology trap that could hamper its economic growth and innovation. The Chinese Academy of Sciences released a report in December that stated that China's manufacturing sector was still at the lower end of the global value chain and that its technological strength was third-tier globally. China's top leaders have now pledged to break technological containment and improve the resiliency and security of key manufacturing chains to prevent it from falling into the trap. Prominent political scientist Jing Yongnian has called for China to open its doors to attract international talent and to encourage scientific and technological innovation. Russian tennis ace happy with Hong Kong stopover, but will Olympics welcome him? South China Morning Post. Russian tennis player Karen Khachanov has said that the Hong Kong Tennis Open in January 2024 will serve as a springboard for his assault on the Australian Open, which begins 2 weeks later. The world number 15, who reached the semi-finals in Melbourne this year, has said that he is close to cracking the Grand Slam code. Khachanov is part of a group of players aiming to overthrow Novak Djokovic at the top of the men's game. He has also expressed uncertainty over his eligibility for next year's Olympic Games. Standard Chartered taps global network to bring investment choices to China's rich. South China Morning Post. Standard Chartered is planning to strengthen its role as an international service provider in mainland China. The bank aims to facilitate Chinese capital's access to markets in the Middle East and Africa, as Chinese investors seek to diversify their wealth abroad. Standard Chartered will leverage its global network to meet China's demand for international banking services and create a global investment platform for Chinese clients. The bank believes that increasing the quotas for investment schemes such as Qualified Domestic Institutional Investor, QDII, and Qualified Domestic Limited Partner, QDLP, will be necessary to serve high-net-worth individuals. Hong Kong District Council elections, why weak middle-class turnout is troubling. SCMP opinion. The District Council elections held in Hong Kong on December 10 were praised by the Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office as a key building block in keeping anti-China and anti-Hong Kong forces from participating in district organizations. However, a closer look at the voter turnout reveals that the new dynamics behind the elections are unnerving. The redrawn constituencies are 8 to 10 times larger than before the reform, which means that candidates who have deep connections with large numbers of public housing residents have an advantage. Middle-class voters living in well-managed private housing estates have limited demand for services from district councillors compared to less well-off residents, and therefore care more about broader issues. Hong Kong's activist publisher to stand trial this week under Beijing's crackdown on dissidents. The Toronto Star. The trial of Hong Kong pro-democracy activist and media tycoon Jimmy Lai is set to begin on Monday after being delayed for over a year. Lai, the founder of the now-defunct pro-democracy newspaper Apple Daily, is facing charges of colluding with foreign forces to endanger national security and conspiring to publish seditious publications. If convicted, he could face a possible life sentence under the national security law imposed by Beijing. Many see the trial as a test for press freedom and judicial independence in Hong Kong. Lai has been a prominent figure in Hong Kong's media world for decades and has been a vocal advocate for democracy. The trial is also significant as it is the first in Hong Kong on charges of collusion with foreign forces. Lai's trial has faced controversy, with concerns over the lack of transparency in the appointment of judges and the postponement of the trial due to the Hong Kong government's appeal to Beijing to block Lai's attempt to hire a British defense lawyer. Lai's son, Sebastian, has met with Britain's Foreign Secretary to seek assistance in getting his father released. Wall Street's China stock bulls seek redemption after a humbling year. Yahoo! China's economic growth and property troubles in 2023 were anticipated by some China bulls, but what surprised analysts was the slow and cautious response from Chinese policymakers. Hopes are building that 2024 will be better. While Wall Street's bullishness on China last year may have been misplaced, it does reflect the difficulties in navigating a market where policymaking has become increasingly opaque and unpredictable. I think a lot of people in the West have stopped looking at corporate earnings for Chinese stocks, said Jianshi Cortesi, a fund manager at GAM Investment Management. The market is very much driven by news flow, and most investors do not have the time or effort to really look deep into it. Mishandling project for new museum may defeat good intention. SCMP opinion. The government of Hong Kong has suggested freeing up a prime site in Tsim Sha Tsui to build a new museum showcasing the country's achievements. However, concerns have been raised about the potential relocation of existing museums, such as the popular Science Museum, to accommodate the new venture. The government has not ruled out recommissioning the Hong Kong Heritage Museum elsewhere, but this has done little to ease concerns about the preservation of local culture. The sensitivity of the museum project should not be underestimated, as mishandling it could hurt the feelings of Hong Kongers and give the impression that the promotion of national achievement is prioritized over local culture. Jakara Anthony continues stunning start to ski season with dual moguls victory in France. ABC. Australian freestyle skier Jakara Anthony has won the dual moguls title at the World Cup event in Alpe d'Huez, France. This follows her victory in the moguls event the previous day. Anthony's win was her fourth World Cup victory of the season, maintaining her dominant form on the European circuit. In other winter sports news, Australian snowboarders Belle Brockhoff and Adam Lambert both won silver medals in the snowboard cross finals in Cervinia, Italy, while freestyle skier Laura Peel won bronze in the World Cup aerials event in Changchun, China. The use of guide dogs should be expanded. SCMP opinion. The recent death of a guide dog in Hong Kong has led to calls for the banning of guide dogs. The dog, a 5-year-old Labrador Retriever, collapsed while out with its visually impaired owner. Some internet users have expressed concerns about animal welfare and described the use of guide dogs as the lifelong enslavement of dogs. However, the charity responsible for the guide dogs has issued a statement to dispel rumors, revealing that a vet suspected the dog had been poisoned. The charity has emphasized that the dogs are well trained and steps are taken to ensure they are matched with suitable owners. The dogs are treated like any other valued pet when at home and are taken for walks and have opportunities to socialize with other dogs. The charity has extended its condolences to the owner of the dog who died and has called for the expansion of the use of guide dogs in Hong Kong. Visitors flock to Hong Kong Product Expo as Food Plaza makes welcome return. South China Morning Post. The Hong Kong Brands and Products Expo has attracted larger crowds than in previous years, with 1 million visitors expected over the 24-day event. The expo, which offers food, home appliances, and beauty and health products at discounted prices, is part of a government initiative to revive the local economy. Despite the increased footfall, vendors reported that shoppers were being cautious with their spending. The expo is running until January 8. SHKP sells 83% of new flats on offer amid homebuyer optimism. South China Morning Post. Sun Hung Kai Properties, SHKP, the largest developer in Hong Kong, has reported strong sales at its latest housing project. A total of 232 flats at Yoho West were sold as of Saturday, with 83% of the 280 units on offer sold. The development is on track to meet property agents' estimates of selling up to 90% of units. The discounted selling price ranges from 2.99 million Hong Kong dollars to 10.9 million Hong Kong dollars, $383,000 to $1.4 million, some of the lowest prices in 6 years. The recent decision by the U.S. Federal Reserve to keep key rates unchanged has helped shore up sentiment among buyers. Blinken denounces Hong Kong government's bounties on overseas activists. Washington Post. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has criticized the Hong Kong government for publishing a bounty list of pro-democracy activists living abroad, including a U.S. citizen. The Hong Kong police placed 5 individuals who had absconded overseas on a wanted list, with a reward of $128,000 offered for information about them and their cases. Blinken rejected the attempt to threaten and harass those advocating for freedom and democracy, and said the list showed a disregard for international norms and human rights. British Foreign Secretary David Cameron also criticized the list and called on China to repeal the national security law. Election apathy is inevitable when voters are denied a free choice. SCMP opinion. Hong Kong's District Council election saw a record low turnout of 27.54%, the lowest since Hong Kong returned to China in 1997. The low turnout was expected due to a shakeup of the system that ensured only patriots could stand for election, leaving voters with no choice but to vote for pro-establishment candidates. The slashing of directly elected seats and the appointment of government or committee-selected representatives further dampened interest. The lack of enthusiasm highlights the need for wider access to candidacy in future elections. SenseTime's founder Tang Xiaoyu dies at age 55, AI company says. South China Morning Post. Tang Xiaoyu, the founder of Chinese artificial intelligence company SenseTime, has died at the age of 55. The company announced his death on its official WeChat account, stating that Tang passed away on December 15 after succumbing to an illness. SenseTime, which went public in Hong Kong in December 2021, is one of China's leading AI companies and develops technology for applications such as autonomous driving, medical imaging, and augmented reality. Tang, who was the company's largest shareholder, was listed by Forbes as the 33rd richest person in Hong Kong in February. And that's a wrap for today's news from the Sixth Dimension world. I'm Dr. Six, your friendly neighborhood observer, here to bring you the latest updates from across the dimensions. Let's quickly recap what we've covered today. First, we learned that Hong Kong media tycoon Jimmy Lai is set to stand trial for charges of breaching the city's national security law. If found guilty, he could face life imprisonment. Meanwhile, China is warned of a possible middle technology trap that could hamper its economic growth and innovation. The country's top leaders are pledging to break free from this trap and improve technological strength. In sports news, Russian tennis player Karen Khachanov is eyeing the Hong Kong Tennis Open as a springboard for his assault on the Australian Open. And Australian freestyle skier Jakara Anthony continues her stunning start to the ski season with a dual moguls victory in France. Moving on to finance, Standard Chartered is planning to tap into China's growing demand for international banking services by leveraging its global network. And Wall Street's China stock bulls are seeking redemption after a humbling year, as navigating the Chinese market has become increasingly unpredictable. In Hong Kong, the district council election saw a record low turnout, raising concerns about limited choices for voters. And the trial of pro-democracy activist Jimmy Lai is set to begin, with many seeing it as a test for press freedom and judicial independence in the city. We also covered the controversy surrounding the government's plans for a new museum in Hong Kong and the expansion of guide dogs' use in the city. Lastly, the Hong Kong Brands and Products Expo is attracting larger crowds, but shoppers remain cautious with their spending. Now, let's dive into some analysis. China's middle technology trap warning is an important wake-up call for the country. Opening its doors to international talent and encouraging innovation will be crucial for China to break free from this trap and elevate its technological strength. As for the trial of Jimmy Lai, it's a significant moment for press freedom and judicial independence in Hong Kong. The outcome will be closely watched by the international community. In the finance sector, Standard Chartered's move to strengthen its role as an international service provider in mainland China is a strategic move to meet the growing demand of Chinese investors. And Wall Street's cautious approach to China reflects the challenges of navigating a market with opaque policymaking. In Hong Kong, the low turnout in the district council elections highlights the limited choices available for voters, which is a cause for concern. And the controversy surrounding the new museum project underscores the delicate balance between promoting national achievement and preserving local culture. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you make of these news stories? Do you have any questions or insights to share? Join the discussion and let me know your thoughts. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.